Hey, Michael Church, Crawl Space Ninja. Today I want to talk to you about what type of dehumidifier or the characteristics of a dehumidifier is best for a crawl space. We got some great information to share with you today. Stay tuned. So if you're new to Crawl Space Ninja, we talk about everything related to indoor air quality, dehumidification, even filtration. We hope you'll subscribe to our channel, ring that notification bell. Follow us on Facebook. Make sure you check out our DIY store and our franchise opportunities. For those of you that don't know, we have a blog that we post to every week on our crawlspaceninja.com website. And we recently did a blog about the Aprilaire 1820 dehumidifier, and I'll put a link to that down below. But we got an interesting comment that I wanted to share with you all. I had one of the Aprilaire 1820s, and keep in mind now that is an E70. It's an Aprilaire E70 now, installed in my crawl space by Crawl Space Ninja. And it has performed well for the past 2 years. The only maintenance has been the filter, which I bought a pair of easy swap filters for cleaning. It was consistently kept my humidity within range even during storms. Crawl Space Ninja also added the condensate pump and plumbing to the outside. It is more expensive than the ones in the big box stores, but it does appear to be built better, which is what you need in a more remote part of your home. And I just wanted to unpack that comment a little bit about some of the characteristics that you want to look for in a crawl space dehumidifier. Now, obviously, we are partial to the Aprilaire E-Series. That's the one we typically install, but there are other brands out there like Santa Fe and different ones. And so whenever you're looking to purchase a dehumidifier for your crawl space, I feel like there's some things that you should look for. And the first thing is make sure that you have a humidity control feature that is digital, where you can adjust the humidity up or down based on the scenario that you're trying to accomplish. We always recommend that the dehumidifier be set around 50%, because anything above 60%, according to most experts, can begin to grow mold inside the crawl space or the rest of your living space. So setting that dehumidifier on 50% will draw that humidity down, and then once that humidity reaches about 46, 48%, it'll turn off, and then as the humidity rises, it will kick back on again to draw that humidity back down, similar to the way your refrigerator operates whenever it needs to keep your food cool. The other thing this homeowner mentioned is making sure that the dehumidifier comes with a good air filter. Believe it or not, we don't talk about this very much, but the dehumidifiers we install in these crawl spaces are very, very good at filtering the air in the crawl space. Keep in mind, they are set to turn on when the humidity rises, but it's moving quite a bit of air through them. And if you can capture a lot of the dust and debris in the air inside that filter, it serves two purposes. Number one, it keeps the dehumidifier cleaner so that it requires less maintenance and even less wear and tear. But secondly, it also cleans the air. So if you've got a cheap box store type dehumidifier with a really poor quality air filter, it may not be doing as well as one of these Aprilaire or Santa Fe type dehumidifiers that have a better air filter. So I would choose a dehumidifier with a good air filter. Now this can vary, but if you're putting the dehumidifier inside a crawl space, most crawl spaces typically are about 3 feet or less, and some, you know, like we have in Sevierville, they start out at 2 feet, and then as they go down the mountain, they're 22 feet tall on some sides. But many of the crawl spaces around the country are around 3 to 4 feet. So having a low profile dehumidifier is a good option, but keep in mind, it's not necessarily just the height of the crawl space as much as it is the door or the opening that you're going to fit the dehumidifier in. So a lot of the dehumidifiers out there, like the E130 that's made by Aprilaire, that thing is huge. You would never get that in a small door of a crawl space, no matter how big the crawl space is. So the E70 is a good example of a low profile dehumidifier that you can slide in a lot of these tight spaces. So make sure that the dehumidifier you choose fits well in the environment in which it's designed to dehumidify. Another characteristic that a lot of people look at is if you're putting the dehumidifier in a crawl space, typically the crawl space is low and the dirt outside is high. So if you don't have a sump pump inside the crawl space to drain the dehumidifier into, you have to pump that water up and then out of the crawl space to the outside. And a condensate pump can be used to do that. Now, I like having a condensate pump on the outside of the crawl space. Many dehumidifiers, even crawl space dehumidifiers have condensate pumps built into them. And we even fell for that a while back. We purchased some dehumidifiers that had the condensate pump built in. After all, how beautiful is that to be able to install a dehumidifier? The pump's there, you hook it up and go. Well, what we learned was normally the condensate pump is the first thing to fail when it comes to dehumidification. And if that dehumidifier condensate pump fails, you have to replace the entire dehumidifier in most cases, or send the entire dehumidifier back to the manufacturer for repair, versus an Aprilaire style or a Santa Fe style dehumidifier that has the condensate pump outside. Okay, so if that condensate pump fails, in a quick fix, you can run to Home Depot or Lowe's or something like that, pick up a new condensate pump, swap it out, and be back up and running in moments, versus having to ship that dehumidifier off for days or weeks at a time to get repaired. The other thing I want to mention about condensate pumps is our Aprilaire series of dehumidifiers located on our DIY store and the ones we install. Aprilaire, whenever you purchase the condensate pump with the dehumidifier, will extend the warranty on that condensate pump to 5 years. That is amazing, because most condensate pumps only come with a 90-day to 1-year warranty. So if you're looking for a great dehumidifier, obviously you can go with the Aprilaire series located on our DIY store, purchase the dehumidifier with the condensate pump, and both come with a 5-year warranty. The other thing about condensate pumps is there are some dehumidifiers out there that make you choose their condensate pump, or they have a mounting bracket, a specially designed mounting bracket for their dehumidifier that you have to choose certain condensate pumps to work with it. The Aprilaire series dehumidifier does not have that. It will work with any condensate pump that you put on the outside. You drain the line from the dehu into that pump, and then that pump pumps the water out. So, make sure you stay away from some of these proprietary setups because the manufacturer wants you to go back to them and purchase that new condensate pump versus going and getting one easily at the local box store in a pinch, or if you have a situation whenever the condensate pump fails. Another nice thing that the person said in the article was they considered the dehumidifier that we installed for them as low maintenance. And we talked about air filtration and condensate pumps. Those contribute to low maintenance. But the other thing is, if you buy a dehumidifier that has a bucket, I used to have a house where I had a basement, and we put this dehumidifier. We'd had it for years. It's one of those old style dehumidifiers that you have to go down and empty the bucket every time it fills up. It holds about a gallon, gallon and a half, maybe 2 gallons of water. And in the summertime, that thing could fill up 2 to 3 times a day. Well, who's going to go in their crawl space 2 to 3 times a day to empty the bucket of the dehumidifier? So make sure you choose a dehumidifier that will actually drain into a condensate pump or into the sump pump, and that water can then be pushed out of the dehumidifier without you having to get involved. Another thing you want to consider when purchasing a dehumidifier is to make sure it's energy efficient. We did a video with Brian from Aprilaire, and I'll put a link to that video down below, but he explains how the Aprilaire style dehumidifier is a lot more energy efficient than some of the ones you get at the box store. Now, granted, those dehumidifiers are probably less expensive, and normally they come with an inferior warranty, but I'll cover that in just a minute. But if that dehumidifier is using more electricity to run on a regular basis, you may not see that cost savings that you thought you were getting up front, because it's costing you more to run that dehumidifier over the long run, especially if you need the dehumidifier for 5 or 10 years from now. Imagine how much cost savings you will lose whenever you're choosing a box store dehumidifier that's using up to twice the amount of energy to produce the same amount of pipe per day removal as maybe a commercial sized dehumidifier like the Aprilaire or the Santa Fe. The last thing I want to mention is warranty. Okay, again, many of the box store dehumidifiers, the one you can buy online, those cheaper dehumidifiers come anything with a 90-day to a 1-year warranty, whereas I mentioned before, the Aprilaire comes with a 5-year bumper to bumper warranty. Okay, so if you've got a dehumidifier that costs you $300 that has a 1-year warranty and it fails every 15 months and you've got to buy a new one every 15 months, that's about the price of a DIY Aprilaire E70 on our DIY store, okay? Plus, you'll have to go to the store, change it out, you know, 3 or 4 times over the course of 5 years in order to make sure that dehumidifier stays in place and controlling the humidity in your basement or crawl space. So don't always go with the cheapest option. Sometimes investing a little bit more money in a commercial grade dehumidifier will wind up saving you a lot of time and energy and grief in the long run. Because what if that dehumidifier failed in 15 months, you didn't even know it failed, right? And then you had to take it out and then take it back to the box store, and you were without that dehumidifier for a period of time and a mold problem came about. Remember, the reason why Aprilaire has a 5-year warranty is because they use better parts. And a dehumidifier that has a 1-year warranty uses inferior parts, and it's more likely to fail in a shorter amount of time, leaving you stranded and leaving your crawl space high in humidity. So I'm Michael Church with Crawl Space Ninja. We hope you make it a happy and blessed day, and I'll see you later.